Thank you for staying with us. The high number of unoccupied houses in the nation's capital is gradually becoming a cause for concern, especially as many residents cannot afford the rent. This week on FCT in Focus, we look at the rising spate of empty houses in Abuja.
Abuja is known for her sprawling estates, and there are so many of them. Every morning, civil servants from middle-level cadre and their counterparts in the private sector struggle through traffic like this one to get to work. The reason is that getting a decent accommodation within the city center is beyond their means, so many of them resort to satellite towns like Kubwa, Gwagwalada, Maraba, Kuje, Karu, Lugbe, Nyanya, and others. The distance between these towns and the main city where the workers report for work ranges from 20 to 70 kilometers. Michael Martins has just gained employment into the Federal Civil Service and he wants to settle down, but his monthly take-home pay is 68,000 naira. Houses around the city center are way above his earnings, while those in the satellite towns are quite affordable for him.
The vacant houses are caused by corruption. Few Nigerians have cornered the commonwealth of this great country. And what are we doing about it? When you come to Abuja, you see people living in Masaka, people living in Kishingoro, people living in some villages that you cannot even pronounce their name out very well, you'll be wondering. And every morning you see heavy odors along all those suburbs, because the people have to come to the city in the name of earning their daily bread. The question we ask ourselves is, why is it that ordinary Nigerian cannot also entitled to affordable housing? Why? This problem of vacant houses has started since about 7-8 years ago. That when you go to Asokoro, you see different houses. In Maitama, you see many houses. Alagi is sleeping in Maitama. He had 3-5 other houses in Asokoro. And the people living in those Asokoro houses are the Megad. Where are the real guys who are working, the real Nigerians that are working, are coming all the morning from far distance in Suleja, some after Suleja, some all the way from Kefi, in the name of earning a living. We cannot continue with this. There's no better time we can discuss this issue or draw the attention of government to this issue of vacant houses again than now. It's a new dawn. We are starting a new year. So the government must do something. We need massive verification of those empty houses.
When you look at the difficulty it poses to these people who cannot get adequate, affordable housing, it's huge. A lot of people you see walking in Abuja every day, they don't sleep inside Abuja. And so in the morning, when you go to the entry routes into Abuja, you see traffic gridlocks. These problems definitely need to be addressed because it's a big problem. And then it's rising. It's not reducing. Some will want to look at it from the angle of wastage. Some will want to look at it from the angle of corruption. Some, for instance, in Abuja will keep their houses vacant and they will say that they are waiting for expatriates to come and rent them. And then they are ready to keep those houses vacant for 5 years until they get the right type of persons that they are looking for. That's very, big wastage. And then some link that to corruption. Because if you probably didn't steal the money and then you took money from the bank to build the estate, you will not leave the house vacant like that because you have financial obligation.
According to the Federal Capital Territory Administration, the housing deficit for the nation's capital hovers around 1.7 and 2 million, and at least 600 abandoned buildings have been identified by the authorities, most of them located in Gwarimpa, Wuse, Garki, Maitama, Asokoro, and Apo.
Government needs to first have a data to specify who are those who need houses. What kind of houses do they need, and who can help them to provide such houses? It may not really look like a fantastic business idea to build a one-bedroom flat, but that is what people can easily afford. And there are still lands within the FCT where we can put up such, because then an average civil servant who has to do 2-hour traffic from Masaka to Abuja gets to office by 10 or thereabout and has to be planning on leaving office before 4 to avoid the traffic is a big burden to Nigeria as a country, because he or she will be less productive at work. So we need to be able to address this challenge so that our civil service can grow. Because those who are hot more with this housing challenge are the civil servants, because they have a time frame they must be at work, and the time frame they can't leave work at. And by the time they go home tired, they come back tired the next day, their productivity is at very low ebb. So government, for that purpose alone, government should begin to revisit the mass housing policy in the FCT. But there is no policy saying we have maybe 5,000 civil servants who need 1-bedroom flat, 2-bedroom flat, and because of that, we are giving lands to people who build what they need. We don't have that bit of the policy. The policy say we are going to carve out land for mass housing, but then what is to be built is not based on evidence on what is in need, what is in demand. That's a clear challenge. We are giving out land to say, go and build mass housing. There are places you go, you'll find 2-bedroom flats in the land, but then the average civil servant who wants to buy a house wants to buy something he or she can pay for. So the policy needs to be balanced between what the demand is and what the investors want to do. If investors come and want to build something that will not meet the demand, then we shouldn't be giving them the land, because they will build and it can't be taken up by the civil servant. So we need to go back and do the two leg of it. What is the demand and what supply are the investors willing to give?
We try to avoid as much as possible the cases of litigation. We've had series of meetings with the owners of these houses or their representatives, but then they will bring the idea of the buoyancy of the economy. And then as much as possible, we try to see, okay, what is the best way out of this problem? Because yes, there is this issue of social miscreants that try to hide in some of these uncompleted or unoccupied buildings. So of recent, we are thinking and we are proposing to the Federal Executive Council if they can come in and acquire some of these properties, and then maybe as way of solving the housing deficit of the country, giving it out to staff and other Nigerians.
While the FCT authorities are making moves to take over the properties, the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission is initiating investigation into the ownership of the unoccupied houses in the city.